Fractured reality, a narrative from the perspective of a man that is losing his mind about losing his mind. Each morning I wake up and hope that the world will be clearer, that the voices will be gone and the colors won't blur at the edges. But every day I'm met with an overwhelming reminder that my mind is slipping away, and the very thought is enough to push me further into the abyss. I was always proud of my intellectual abilities. I was the guy who could always see the solution to a problem, who remembered birthdays and anniversaries, who could recite lines from books I'd read years ago. But now, my own memories seem like they belong to someone else. It started with the small things: misplaced keys, forgotten appointments, losing track of conversations. But then I'd look in the mirror and not recognize the man staring back. I'd find notes I'd written to myself that made no sense. The worst part was never the forgetting, but the remembering. Those brief moments of clarity when I'd grasp the reality of what was happening. People tried to comfort me. "It's just stress," they said. "You're overthinking it," they'd assure me. But I knew it wasn't stress. It was something far more sinister. Every night I'd lie in bed and wrestle with the thoughts swirling in my head. I'd hear voices that weren't there, mocking me, laughing at my confusion. They whispered that I was losing myself, that soon I wouldn't be able to distinguish reality from fantasy. In public, I became paranoid. Crowds became mazes of faceless people, where everyone looked familiar, yet no one was known. I'd become disoriented, feeling like I was floating in a sea of shifting sands. Conversations were a jumble of words, with sentences slipping through my grasp like water. I wanted to scream, to shout at the world to stop spinning, to let me off, but every time I tried, the words came out incoherent, further proving the point that I was losing it. One rainy evening, I found myself standing in front of my childhood home, drenched and shivering. I didn't know how I got there, but every detail of the house was as I remembered: the cracked steps, the chipping paint, the old oak tree in the front yard. I could almost hear my mother's voice calling me for dinner. For a moment, everything felt real, tangible. But then the house faded, melting away like sugar in the rain. I was left standing on an empty street with the chilling realization that my childhood home had been torn down years ago. It's a strange feeling, losing your mind. It's a vicious cycle. With each slip, the fear grows. And with the fear, the slippage accelerates. I long for respite, for an anchor to hold on to. But every now and then, in a rare moment of clarity, I see the beauty of the world, the love of my family, the fleeting moments that make life worth living. I cling to those these days, hoping that they'll guide me back, even as the fog threatens to swallow me whole.